to give a general understanding, which means introduction about poverty and the causes and effects, and try to focus on solutions. As a first step, let's look at the definition of poverty which was given by United Nations. The UN thinks that poverty is an inability of getting choices and opportunities, a violation of human rights, human dignity. It means lack of basic capacity to participate effectively in society. It means not having enough to feed and clothe a family, not having a school or clinic to go, not having the land on which to grow one's food or a job to earn one's living, not having access to credit. It means insecurity, powerlessness, and exclusion of individuals. It means individuals, households, and communities. It means susceptibility to violence, and it often implies living in marginal or fragile environments without access to clean water or sanitation. So this is the option of United Nations, which is very difficult to understand. But let me explain to you what the poverty is actually in human language. So as you can see in the next page, this is a poverty cycle. By this poverty cycle, you guys can imagine how poor people are staying poor forever. For example, as a first step, we can take family in poverty. Let's take a family, and this must be poor. So as a next step, child grows up in a poverty. A family has a child, and this child grows up in a poverty, which doesn't give him access to the education and to improve his skills. For example, if you want to study anywhere, it can be school, college, even kindergarten, or even to buy a book, you need to pay for this. Let's just imagine a child growing up in a poverty, lack of education and skills. It means struggle to get a job in the future. Because even nowadays, in our century, even well-educated people have struggled to get a job. So, don't have an education, not having enough skills, and struggle to get a job doesn't let him escape the poverty cycle. That's why the 21st in our century, people are staying poor forever. So, as a next page, I'll prepare you guys global statistics about poverty. So let's pay attention for the first fact. Almost half of the world, which means over 3 billion people, live on less than $2.50 a day. Which means, guys, in Korea, for this money, you can buy only 1 bottle of water and noodles, which you guys call ramyeon. So, alright. Let's just leave this fact. Let's move to the next, because the next is more interesting. There are around 1 billion people in the world who live with less than $1 per day. Means like the poorest people live in less than $1 a day. Which means, guys, just imagine you got a $1 for each day. Today you got $1, tomorrow you will have $1 as well. So all you can buy for this money in Korea is just one noodle, one ramyeon. So let's imagine you can live one day, alright, you can live 1 week, 2 weeks, alright, just say you can live 1 year or 2 years by eating only ramyeon and let's just say water. But how can you imagine your life after 3 or 4 years?
I'd be skinny.
Yeah. And what do you guys think the poorest country in the world? The poorest country in the world is Central African Republic, which means like $652 per year for the one person's income for per year. It means it's really scary and frightening, guys. You are, for example, after graduating the university, your income is $652 for per year, which means in the per year, a guy, let's just take me, I pay for my education. After my education, I will earn $652 a year, which means I cannot pay for my taxes, I cannot feed my family, or I cannot build a family with this money in this world. It's very difficult. That's why it's obvious being poor is the most dangerous thing in our society. Thanks. This was Dallas Dostonbek, and the next page is cause of poverty, cause and effects. Kevin will present about this topic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Kevin. Everybody already knows. And I'm going to be talking about the causes of poverty. Let me start by saying that poverty is a vicious circle. That poverty causes poverty. But you know, poverty has a lot of causes that we can name them. Some experts suggest that poverty has lack of employment or lack of food. But I'm going to start with the overpopulation, and the second one is high standards and cost of living, and the last one, but not least, inadequate education and employment. Why am I going to go for the overpopulation first? Because it's not just related to the topic. It is also alarming global problem. You know, overpopulation. You know, everybody knows it is an unquestioned principle that has dominated international thinking over decades. That we are living in an overcrowded world, teeming with billions of people. That is gonna suffocate our cities and squeeze our planet from its precious resources. Overpopulation is a situation that very few less amount of landscape for really large amount of people. I want you to guys look at this graph, which illustrates world population increasing in 1950 from 2.5 billion to the 9 billion in till the 2015. It's really alarming problem that everybody should pay attention. Now, overpopulation can result in high density population, which is a number of people to land surface, and also there are low resources that's going to be available to provide them. In high population, people are struggling to get a surface and to get a resources. The resources, and only few people can be reported and supported on a given surface to live there. And we need a really vibrant economy to provide all the people with the resource and food and everything that they're gonna need to live. And the second one, high standards and cost of living. In developed countries, people enjoy high standard and cost of living. Why? Because they may have more in terms of resources and foods when we compare to in developing countries. You know, people in developing countries, even they have adequate food and resources, they tend to be considered poor when you compare it in developed countries. Why? Because in America, average people earns $30,000 per year, and they are expect to buy new house or apartment with water supply and electricity facilities, and moreover, they're expect to purchase materials that is not even needed, but for entertainment and high-priced foods among his friends. And so that's why I'm talking about the high standards and costs in the developed countries. Even without the basic facilities like even no luxuries. The people struggle, and their living is relatively expensive as compared to the developing countries. For example, in America, in United States and Japan and Australia and Canada and Western European, people cannot obtain these kind of basic standards without a job which provide them with ample amount of money, you know. But in the in the developing countries, people who has adequate food and some cattle and shelter, they are considered to be to be rich in their society because the living standard is low and without a water supply or anything. And the last one is inadequate education and employment. You know, nowadays, illiteracy and lack of education is the #1 problem. You know, in developing countries, where it can be kind of seemed very often that people and country and government cannot provide or often cannot be able to care for the educational facilities to the children. But in industrialized country, almost all children have access to go to the elementary school. But in sub-Saharan Africa, which is named the most poorest country in the world, only 60% of children can go to school, and this is the major problem, you know. And then this is a major problem because without education, without the basic education, people in developing countries are not able to find a job that can earn them a living or generate income. And that is why poorest people sometimes in developing countries try to propelling the schooling, because in order to concentrate on some earning, at least earning minimal livings in their life to survive. And that is gonna be my part of speaking, and I'm going to give a role to my friend Chaya. Thank you so much for your attention.
Good afternoon. My part is solution to poverty. You know this picture? This picture is on the Fletcher Awards, and you can see how he is in hunger. I brought this pie to tell you guys they need a list of money, about just $1. As said Nick, they need just a list of money. So I want to remind you guys, they need just a little money. Yeah, this is a cycle of poverty, as you can see, and you can choose which words fits in. They cannot break this cycle because they just can't in structure. They need education, they need schools, they need jobs, they need works, but they cannot get just one of them. This is the poverty rate, and as you can see, the rate of poverty goes up. Yeah, this is the most important part. The solution to poverty is creating jobs, education, raising wages, financial service, and gender equality, transparency in government spending, canceling national debts, health care service, access to clean water and sanitation, nutrition to children. I think the most important part is raising wages and education.